Welcome everyone to History Gone Wilder, part of Half History Will Travel. I am your host, the Wilder Historian, and in this video I want to take a deep dive into an aspect of the institution of slavery. Men occupied a carved-out spot within American society in the 1800s, but the enslaved man and free black men could not enter that realm of American society. So, in this video, I will discuss how slavery emasculated enslaved and free black men. When the United States came into being, its voting rights were limited to free white men who owned property, which greatly limited the number of people who could participate in politics. Gradually, property qualifications went away as the country became more small d democratic, allowing more people to enter the political sphere, but still only free white males could enter that arena by the mid-1800s. Some states in the North did make a way for black men to vote in elections, but those states changed their stance on those rules over the course of the antebellum era. Slavery and the racism that came with it prevented black men from taking part in that masculine activity. Slavery also commodified human beings, which reduced them to property, yet this took away more from the enslaved. They were politically dead. Frederick Douglass, the escaped slave who got national and world fame for his fight against slavery, fought against the banning of black men from the political sphere. He called upon the principles of the founding generations embedded in the Declaration of Independence that people possess the right of liberty, which pointed out the hypocrisy existing in the United States, that they would tolerate a group of people existing within its borders without liberty. In the 19th century, African Americans lived in the United States without civil rights because many did not consider them citizens of the country. Therefore, this gave politicians the ability to deny them political rights. It only got worse for the community when Chief Justice Roger Taney, in his opinion in the Dred Scott case, declared that because of the color of their skin, African Americans could not be citizens. Another aspect of masculinity common in the mid-19th century was that of protector of the family. Whether you were a father or a husband, protection and support of the family was central to a man's role in the household. However, male slaves could not own property in order to put a roof over their families' heads. They also possessed no authority over their family because the white owners held that authority. A runaway slave named John S. Jacobs wrote about his time in slavery, and he offered a great description of what slavery did to masculinity. To be a man and not to be a man, a father without authority, a husband and no protector, is the darkest of fates. Such was the condition of my father, and such is the condition of every slave throughout the United States. He owns nothing. He can claim nothing. His wife is not his. His children are not his. They can be taken from him and sold at any minute, as far away from each other as the human fleshmonger may see fit to carry them. Slaves are recognized as property by the law and can own nothing except by the consent of their masters. A slave's wife or daughter may be insulted before his eyes with impunity. He himself may be called on to torture them and dare not refuse. To raise his hand in their defense is death by the law. He must bear all things and resist nothing. If he leaves his master's premises at any time without a written permit, he is liable to be flogged. Yet it is said by slaveholders and their apologists that we are happy and contented. Enslaved women, the wives, mothers, and daughters of enslaved men, could be used in any manner the slaveholder wanted, further illustrating the inability of slave men to protect their families without repercussion. During Reconstruction, the Ku Klux Klan attacked black families to demonstrate to black men that they were free, but still could not escape the emasculation of not being able to protect their families. Numerous stories abound of families broken up at the auction block, again only cementing the idea in the enslaved men's heads that they possessed no power of their own. Although this goes beyond masculinity, the mere fact of holding someone in bondage takes away their ability to do as they please. This restricted the ability of the enslaved to express themselves and control their identity. Beyond the physical abuse that slaveholders perpetrated on their slaves, even if no physical abuse occurred, the mental trauma of possessing no authority over oneself harmed the enslaved to a great degree. Southern white society feared black men's potential for slave revolts, not seeing women as perpetrators or creators of such insurrections. The emasculation of enslaved black men helped Southerners curtail the possibility of a slave rebellion. One way to reduce the risk of slave insurrection was to pass laws banning the enslaved from gathering in large groups. Separating them and outlawing the forming of groups reduced the likelihood of rebellions, but the chain of communication networks present on plantations and from plantation to plantation allowed for the free flow of information. However, by restricting their social behavior, they attempted to render enslaved people socially dead. The separating of families through sale also contributed to the destruction of social networks. We can hear about the atrocities that came out of slavery, but I hope this video helps you realize even more the traumatic world that the American slave society perpetrated on African Americans. It sought to rob the enslaved of any rights and social connections, as well as diminished their self-worth. This was partially done to limit the number of slave revolts, or at least the possibility of them.